So, the setup for this weekend's dungeon crawl adventure, because it's a 24-hour event. It wasn't our usual like weekend event, and we were in a like a dungeon, like we were not a dungeon but like a cave where we were like trying to figure out a whole bunch of stuff. And basically the way it worked is we had to go away in small parties so that we didn't like collapse any tunnels by being like too many people in one place or whatever. So we were going away in like these little teams to go do like missions basically. And And one of these, this dwarf who has sort of been our guide, or one of our guides up until this point, comes into the main cavern where we're all kind of set up, and he goes, "Oh, I'm looking for a couple of adventurers. Of you. I know I've mostly been taking those who are tough and who can fight and stuff. But for this one, I think we're gonna need like talking people, because there's some nasty looking people down there, cultists or something, and we gotta try and figure out what's going on. Yeah? All right then." So I'm like, "Oh, me, I'm a talky person. Tawney is a talky person." And the dwarf's like, "Okay, you, and you, and you, and you, and you, and you, and you," and like a couple of other people, And so I went because Tawney she's a wood fae. She's a talker. She's not much of a fighter. She's a healer and a talker, and a pacifist, But she's looking for her family. There's some intense drama there. Her family got kidnapped by the Winter Court, and I have to get them back. So we go down into this like tunnel. Go down into this tunnel. And go to this other room in the hall that we're using for our like setup, and it's really dark, and there's a bunch of NPCs standing in there, and like with like big robes, like up and like looking all menacing and stuff around this table, and they're sort of chanting, and we just hear like, "The eye sees all, the eye knows all, the eye sees all, the eye knows all," all that stuff. And it's spooky. Like it's legitimately a spooky atmosphere. There's like electronic candles and like skulls and stuff like around, and we end up there and we're like, somebody speaks up. I can't remember. It's probably Adeline, this high elf person who is one of my best friends, played by Katrina, who you guys know from other stories, like the Madeline stories, like earlier, where I romanced her, as it is. But she speaks up and she's like, we need to talk to you all. What are you doing here? Why is the cult of the eye here? And they're like, "Who among you will serve the eye? Step forward. We will not speak to those who are not worthy." Blah blah blah, so on, so forth. Cultist things, and we keep trying to get like some answers out of them, little answers. And they won't say anything. And eventually, this guy steps forward. He's like a new player. His character's name is Iro. And he steps forward. He's like this human guy. He goes, "I'll serve the eye." And they go, "Oh, well, good. Come to us, brother. Kneel before us." And he does. He steps forward. He kneels down. And they put this necklace around him, which is like this cursed amulet that we've seen before. On another one of our players, this eye amulet. That you wear, and it like forces you to show it off, and it like learns things basically, and like reports to the eye. There's a tag, and on the item tag it says like compulsion to wear and display, like passive ability compulsion to wear and display, active ability communicate with the eye, and other eye amulets, so cool. So he's wearing this necklace, and they're like, chant with me, brother. And he comes over, and they all start chanting, the eye sees all, the eye knows all, the eye sees all, the eye knows all. And I'm like, oh god, this is just bad news. This is just gonna be bad news. Like, this player is just like signed on with the cult of the eye, And I basically step forward at this point and I say, like, excuse me, if the eye sees all and the eye knows all, can the eye answer a question for me? And they're like, speak your question. I need to know where my family is. I have to rescue them. I have to save them. I have to bring them back. Can it tell me how to bring them back? I know they're in the Fey Realm, but where? And how do I get them away from the Winter Court? And they're like, what do you offer the eye in return for the answer to your question? And I went, I don't have anything to offer. I don't have money or things, or I can't give you anything, but I need to know. It's really important. I have to rescue them. And they go, and then Tammy speaks up, one of the people playing the cultists. She's like one of the lead people in the NPC team. She's one of the owners of the chapter. And she says, we want your eye. Give us your eye, and we'll tell you what you want to know. You'll tell me where my family is? And how to get them back? Yes. The eye will answer your questions if you give us your eye. And I was inwardly having this sort of, I don't know, conflict within myself as to whether I would do this. But like, for Tawney, to get her family back, she would give up way more. If they'd asked for her life, she would have done it, So I kneel down, I throw my staff to the ground, and I kneel down, and I'm like, take my eye then. Go on. Do it. And people behind me are like, Tawney, no, like, don't do it. Don't do it, and they're being held back by other people who maybe have like strength bonuses or whatever. And this cultist steps forward. I think it's Tammy still, and jams a knife and like puts it right here and goes like, gouging out eye 1. And as she's like doing the count, like the 3 count for like gouging my eye out with a knife, I'm going like, like all the screaming pain noises, and as much as I can, so forth, like trying to play it up like I'm getting my eye gouged out. I'm not super great actor, but I do my best. And people behind are like, oh god, like, Jesus. So she finishes like gouging out my eye, steps back and says, we'll bring you the answer soon. Like, we'll come to you with the answers. And so I'm clutching my eye like this, and I'm trying not to like show my eye because I don't want to like ruin the like, oh, my eye is still there, like I've like got it like closed or like my hand over it like the whole time for like a good amount of time. So I'm like clutching it like so forth, all that kind of thing. And like stumbling and so forth. And I get pulled out of the cave. Like one of them basically goes like, go now, like take Tawney back to take Tawney back to everybody, and I get like shepherded out by one of my friends who plays an orc who's like way strong enough to just like grab me and take me away, basically. And so I get brought back to like the main cavern where we're all staying, like the main hall, and my friend Kristen is playing Vera, the ice elf physician. Ice elves are known for their torturous ways, but she's a physician, and we made friends a little bit earlier in the game. she comes over to me and she looks at it and she says like, are you all right? You know, I'm like, well, my eye is gone. You know, she and Grunt, the orc, hands her an item, and she looks at it and she goes, no, I have your eye. And she shows it in front of me. She like puts her hand. It's just like a tag that says like Tawney's eye, basically, or like a little. It's one of these, like a little packet like this. Um, and she shows it in front of me, and I do my level best to just go like this. Like she puts it in front of me, and I can see my own eye. Like I'm trying to think about how that would be, and I just as soon as she shows it to me, I'm like. You know, like puking, like fake, like, you know, like faking it, but like just fucking vomit onto the floor, like looking at my own eyeball in somebody else's hand. And she's like, I'll hold on to that, you know, and like puts it away in a little slot in her bag, basically. And she says, let me look at it. You know, and I go, okay, I guess you can. You know, I take my hand away and I go like, how does it look? Is it okay? She's like, it looks like you got your eye gouged out with a knife. And I went, yeah, that's what happened. And she says, let me look at it, and she does a couple of things, like little role play things. But Kristen is like a really great person to have around when you want to do like props, right? Because she loves the gore props, and she loves the sort of like fake blood and stuff. So she's got like this little fake blood thing. She like quickly shows it to me, like, you know, and so nobody else can see. And I like give her the nod, and she goes to work like doing like fake, you know, like cleaning up of the wound. But what she's actually doing is like applying blood along my eye, as if like it were eyeshadow, and like around the edges, and there's just like this cool sort of like wet leaking of like actual like fake blood all around my eye. And then she takes like a dirty bandage basically off of her arm, because she's got like all these bandages sort of wrapped around because she's a physician, you know, and pulls the bandage off and like gives it to me to sort of press against my eye like that, and eventually sort of tie around as like a, you know, like one of the, how would I do that? Like, yeah, like, you know, kind of like that, like around my head, so to speak. I've seen worse. You'll live. Take your medicine. Yeah, basically. I sell physicians. But yeah, so super cool, right? Really, really well, like fizz repped injury, you know? And Kristen's really good for that. She's a great person to have as like a physician player. But yeah. So I've got my eye out, like, and I'm sitting there, and people are like, oh, here's a potion of like regenerate, you know, like your eye will come back, and I'm going like, no, they told me to keep it. They told me to take it out. They didn't tell me what to do after that. I have to wait for their message. I can't grow another eye. Maybe that'll make them mad, you know, like that kind of stuff. And somebody says like they asked that a physician, like that a surgeon put that eye back in your head, you know, and I went, well, then we wait for a physician. So I'm sitting there just like groaning and clutching my eye, basically, just all sad. And Tammy comes along wearing a white headband, which signifies that she's out of game. Like, you can't see people that are wearing white headbands. They're out of game. They're not there. She comes along and I hear her say, "Sense Tawney's eye," which means that wherever Tawney's eye is, we would have to point her towards that, you know? Like, "Sense Tawney's eye." And we point towards like Kristen's bag, like Kristen's like box. It's like, it's in there, you know. And she goes, yeah, like, the box starts to glow. Oh, good. And we're like, oh, I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. And Vera, Kristen's character, opens the box, and Tammy hands her a tag. Hands her a tag, to trade out for the one that she has. So Tammy gives her back this and like they put a tag in there. And she says to Kristen, who's like looking in the box, this is what you find there when you look. Like, the other thing is gone. This is what's here, you know? And she looks in there, and Tammy goes away, and she shows me the tag, and it's a little tag with a... Oh, I have the item. I'll show you guys the item that was put in there by Plot. Hang on. It's a little tag. It's a little tag that says Cursed Eye Amulet. And this item is in the box. This little item right here, where my eye used to be. And and she shows me, and I'm looking at it with my one eye, you know. And then Tammy points at me while she's got her white headband on. She points at me and says, "Your eye starts to grow back." So immediately I'm like, "Ow, ow, oh, ha. I like remove the bandage, and bam, I have two eyes. Somehow. Magic. And I have an amulet, which is my other eye. The eye they took out of my head. Yeah. So, people are looking at it and they're like picking it up or touching it or whatever, and I went, "No, hey, that's my eye. Give me that. You can't have it. It's mine." You know? And oh. Very nice. So I took the eye, the amulet, and as soon as I touched it, I looked at the tag and it said compulsion to wear and display on it. Compulsion to wear and display, and also active communication with the eye. So great. So I, you know, I put it on my, with the help of a pin that a friend had, we put through like one of the little holes. I put it on my, my hood, and I wear and display the amulet. And the thing about the amulet is that these eyes can see what's going on around them and hear stuff, right? And people are like, "Tawney, you should take that off." And there's a compulsion to wear and display it. So I'm like, "Nope." And they're like, "Why?" And I'm like, "I can't." And they're like, "What do you mean you can't?" "I can't. I don't want to." "Why not?" "Because I don't want to." You know, like that kind of conversation happened a bunch of times. But the thing is, people would keep saying things in front of me that were like super compromising. You know, like, and every time that happened, I went out a game, went down to Plot, you know, and went like, "Just so you know, the Cult of the Eye knows this now because they've said it in front of me." You know, like, they've told Tawney that they found whatever thing, and the amulet is right the fuck there. You know, like, that kind of stuff. By the way, I know some of you are probably wondering why I'm doing this. This is like the out of game symbol. If you don't have a white headband and you need to like go out of game for whatever reason and like disappear to like do something that is not your character doing it, but you doing it, like you put your hand on your head and you're basically invisible. Like, in game, people should not interact with anybody with their hand on their head like that. Basically, just so you know, you get really used to it. Like, I've been playing for 2.5 years now, and when I see people with their hands on their heads, they're basically just like, I don't even look at them. Like just eyes just scan on past. But yeah, so Tawney has a magical eye amulet on her and was awaiting information about where her family is and how to rescue them. You know, this seems like it may have been a devil's bargain, as they say. Good times.